Party.
I'll pull...
Extension of time.
Paul Goldsmith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very pleased to be able to speak on this appropriation bill for the year coming up to 2011, and a remarkable year it was. Who'd have thought that this country would be borrowing 18 billion in a deficit for that year. I spent a lot of time researching the New Zealand economy over the years, back in the 70s and 80s, when the previous speaker was in Parliament way back then, when we had deficits. I never thought we would have the same size and significant deficits again. And yet here we are. And why did we get in this situation? Well, obviously the global financial crisis has hit a number of countries around the world, and economies have been knocked sideways by that and having to stimulate the economy. Secondly, we've been hit by the earthquake in Christchurch, which we all know is one of the most substantial natural events in the modern economy, in a developed economy. And finally, but the main reason that we've had this large deficit also has been the settings inherited by the Labour government in 2008, where National inherited an economy pregnant with 10 years of deficits on the books, because the Labour Party had abandoned discipline in the last 3 years, particularly of government, and turned the taps of spending on and left this government with 10 years of prospective deficits that we had to rein in. And so there's no easy task for this government trying to restore some order to the books, and that's what this last 3 years have all been about. That we need to pay our way, because it's not written in stone that this country will always be a rich country. It's not given to us as a right. It's not something that will happen automatically. Every generation and every year has to go out and earn it. And we only earn that if we have an economy that is dynamic, where people want to stay. And you don't get a dynamic economy when the government is soaking up all the capital and all the resources. And that is why it is so essential that we bring down the deficit as quickly as we can, and why I'm pleased to be part of a party which has a clear plan to get back to surplus within by the 2014-15 year. And it's not going to be easy. It is difficult, and it's much harder to turn off the taps than it is to turn on the tap. But I'm sure we will be getting there soon. And I was glad that Mr. Peters referred to the IMF in his speech, because the IMF did have something very relevant to say. It said, in our view, the government has struck the right balance between the need to limit public debt increases while containing any adverse impact on economic growth during the recovery. So, in other words, in what is a very difficult environment, this government has struck a good balance between the need to maintain the dynamism of the economy through spending, but also setting a clear path so we can get back to a more sustainable position, because we can't continue to keep borrowing billions on global economy, volatile global markets, as we have in the last couple of years. We've been privileged in the sense that we've had relatively low government debt levels over the last couple of decades, and that has given us the room that we have to move in the last couple of years, but we can't keep on doing that indefinitely. So the figures and the plans that the government has to get back into order quicker rather than later is well worthwhile. Just finally, before I finish, I just wanted to talk about why the economy is so important. And we hear particularly from the Greens that somehow all this focus on economic growth is materialism gone mad and misplaced. But the reality is that we've heard here constantly talk about people going to Australia. And why do the people want to go to Australia? Often they want to live in dynamic, exciting economies and cities where the opportunity to do well. And that's what I'm in politics for, and what we're all in politics for here, is to do what we can to create that dynamic environment. And that requires a strong economy. And it means not saying no to every opportunity that comes our way as a country. It's been open to making use of our resources. It's been open to understanding the needs that it is actually private enterprise that creates wealth. and it's people risking their livelihoods and their own capital to create jobs and products that people want to voluntarily buy on the markets, not things that the government does that makes all the difference.
Call
So
Gareth Hughes.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Kia ora, ngā mihi nui kia koutou. Kia ora. Rise to take a call on the government.